I dedicated my entire summer to running, and I was absolutely shocked by how much faster I got. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing something super important that I learned over this summer that really helped me get a lot faster. This all started right after the end of my 7th grade track season. It was a decent season and I had run some good times as well as done alright in a few field events, but I really wasn't happy with how it had gone overall. So at the beginning of my summer, I decided to run a few races, and the most important one of those was the Boulder 10K. This is one of the biggest races in the country and it has over 50,000 people participating in it. For this 10K race, I held a pretty good pace of around 6:20 per mile for most of the race, and my official finish time was 39:10, which I was super happy with because it achieved my goal of running a sub 40-minute 10K. After this race, I really started having confidence in my running and I started training a lot more. At this point, I was putting in about 15 miles per week. But right when I was kicking my training into a higher gear and starting to run about 20 miles per week, I found this race in Boulder, Colorado. It was an open track meet and they had a 1-mile race, so I figured I might as well jump in, and I was super glad that I did. My old PR from about a month and a half prior was a 5:27, so I figured I might as well go for about a 5:20. And for the first 3 laps of the race, I was actually on pace for 5:15, but the crazy part was my last lap. Usually by the end of a race, you're really tired and your body wants to slow down, but for some reason, I had a ton of energy left, so I just went all out. I ended up running my last lap in 1 minute and 10 seconds. So the full mile, I ended up finishing in 5:05. And that was a huge PR. I'd gotten 22 seconds faster in only about a month and a half. I was so happy with this, and it really showed me that my training had been working. But the reason it was working was all because of 2 little things that I'm going to share at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around. So I've talked about a few of the races that I've run this summer, but now I want to dive a little bit deeper into the training that I was doing. So for most of this summer, I was running about 15 miles a week, and that was 4 or 5 days a week of running. Now, usually my schedule is something like this. On Monday, I'd run like 3 or 4 miles at about 7:45 pace, keeping it nice and easy. And then on Tuesday, I would do a bike ride or a walk, but I would take a day completely off from running. On Wednesday, I would usually do my hard workout. This might be speed training or hill sprints, or my personal favorite workout that I made up this summer was my 4-mile negative split workout. On this workout, I'd run 2 miles out from my house at about a 6:50 pace, and then I'd turn around and come back. My first mile coming back would be 6:40, and then 6:30 for the 4th mile. I really loved this workout because I would get some speed in and some mileage, and I'd get to practice negative splits, so it was a really good one this summer. Usually on Thursday, I do something easy like 2 or 3 miles at a slow pace because I was usually pretty sore from my hard workout on Wednesday. And on Friday, I would completely take another day off to do a walk or bike ride instead of running. And then Saturday and Sunday were just like filler days. That's usually when I would do my longer runs of 4, 5, or 6 miles to try and fill in the mileage for that week. And I trained like that for most of the summer. At the end, I did start running about 20 miles a week and doing a lot more intense workouts. Now, close to the end of the summer, I decided to run a 3K race because that is very close to the 2-mile distance that I run for my cross-country races, so it converts very easily to a predicted 2-mile time. This 3K race, I set my goal at sub 10, which would have been a very, very fast time and very ambitious for me to achieve, and I did not achieve it. I ran a 10:24, which I was still happy with because that converts to about an 11:10 to 11:15 2-mile, which was slightly slower than I wanted to be for the start of cross-country season, but this was still about a month out from the start. And right after this, I had county fair because I actually also show pigs. I don't just run. So for a whole week, I spent every day at the county fair, and I didn't really get much running in that week. I did manage to get it in a few times. I think I got like 10 or 12 miles that week, but I spent most of that week at the county fair showing my pigs. And my last race of the summer, right before cross-country season started, was only the day after the county fair ended, which meant I was very tired for this race, but I was super excited because this was going to be the 1 mile again, and this time I planned on trying to run a sub 5. Now, there were a few things working against me for this race, like the fact that I had just spent almost a week at county fair and not really training, and the fact that it was 92 degrees out when I ran this race. But I knew that if I did not break 5 minutes in this race, I wouldn't have another chance to run the mile in a competitive field till track season came around, and I didn't want to wait all the way till then. And this race, for the first lap, I was at 117, which basically to me looked like my sub 5 goal was almost already out the window, but I just tried to pick it up, and I ended up running perfect 115 per lap pace for the next 2 laps, which meant that it all depended on my closing lap. I ran that closing lap in 1 minute and 9 seconds, so I actually finished this full mile in 4 minutes and 57 seconds, which was right where I wanted to be. And that brings us to now. I'm about to start cross country season. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my cross country races, by the way, because this is going to be a really good season. But I'm now going to talk about 2 things that really helped me with this big improvement this summer. And this improvement was huge. I shaved over 30 seconds off of my 1 mile time in only a few months, going from a 5:30 to a 4:57. And there were 2 really big factors that contributed to me getting this much faster. Now, the first one is going to sound kind of stupid, but it was actually just downloading the Strava app. I really like this app just because it keeps all my workouts in one place, and there's a graph of how much I've run every week. So I really like that, and it kept track of my PRs, which was just nice to see. But the big thing that really helped was how I trained. Now, I could have just run the same mileage at the same pace every day, and I probably would have gotten faster. But the main thing that really helped me to get so much faster this summer was varying my workouts. Some days I ran at like 9-minute mile pace. Some days I ran at 6:30 pace. Some days I ran at 7-minute pace. I was constantly changing the speed that I ran at and the distance that I ran almost every day. And that is the biggest contributing factor to why I've gotten so much faster. Last summer, I tried to do this same thing and I really didn't get much faster just because I did the same workout every day. And the only reason this summer was different was because of how I was training. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.